This Halloween, ghoul all out with Instacart. Whether you're hunting for the perfect costume, eyeing that giant bag of candy, or casting spells with eerie decor, we've got it all in one place. Download the Instacart app and get delivery in as fast as 30 minutes. Plus, enjoy $0 delivery fees on your first 3 orders. Offer valid for a limited time. Minimum $10 per order. Service fees, other fees, and additional terms apply. Instacart, bringing the store to your door this Halloween.
Hey, Prime members, have you heard? You can listen to your favorite podcasts ad-free? Good news! With Amazon Music, you have access to the largest catalog of ad-free top podcasts included with your Prime membership. To start listening, download the Amazon Music app for free or go to amazon.com/ad-free podcast. That's amazon.com/ad-free podcast to catch up on the latest episodes without the ads.
Okay, it's time to commit. 2024 is the year for prioritizing yourself. Begin your new smile journey with Byte, and you could start seeing results in just 2 to 3 weeks. Just order your at-home impression kit today for only $14.95 at Byte.com. Byte clear liners are doctor-directed and delivered to your door. Treatment costs thousands less than braces, plus they offer financing options, accept eligible insurance, and you could pay with your HSA, FSA. Get 80% off your impression kit when you use code WONDERY at Byte.com. That's BYTE.com. Start your confidence journey today with Byte.
So, can you hear those little shits? In the background?
I did just hear them actually.
Yeah. So, listeners, I'm at a hotel in San Francisco, and the people next door have, I think, 2 kids with them. And until 5 minutes ago, they were screaming at a clitoral exorcist level. Like it was beyond.
It's so.
I thought I was going to have
so
to call
bad.
the house detective. Do they still have those in hotels? I thought I was going to have to call the house detective to investigate.
It's so bad whenever, because like, what do? Like yell at them?
You can't. And I was listening to the dad, and he was doing what you have to do in that situation and just be completely calm and let the kid like have the tantrum. But at one point I slammed a few doors myself because I was like, I understand you can't say anything, but the bitch next door can.
Yeah. And that bitch is me.
Can I tell you what happened to me today? I was walking down Market Street in
Okay.
San Francisco in possibly a not good neighborhood, which I knew wasn't a good neighborhood, but I thought I could walk through it quickly.
Okay.
Anyway, a vagrant on a skateboard slammed into me and knocked my glasses off of my head on the
No.
sidewalk. Yes.
How did you wait this long to tell me this?
We've been recording for 30 seconds.
I know, but we've
did you want me to call you mid-fall? Like, what was I supposed to do?
I don't
As the
know,
glasses
but, like,
fell off, I was supposed to go, Chris!
yeah, honestly, yes, but wow. Wait, really? That's terrible.
It was an assault. And then he went away, and I didn't even realize my glasses had fallen off. And someone behind me picked them up and said, sir. And I turned around, and I was like mildly embarrassed. I don't really do embarrassed that much, but I was sort of mildly like, should I have done something? But I couldn't do anything because the guy was on a skateboard.
Well, what? First of all, what? This is like when my car got keyed. It's like, what was I going to do? Open the car door and like attack this person?
Right.
No.
Right.
Like you just take it and then you.
Naturally, there was some fucking guy behind me on the sidewalk who was like, yeah, I would have slapped the shit out of him. And I would have been like, yeah, well, you're also not 5'4" and old and had your glasses knocked off your face, son. Hate people. Hate everyone. Fuck you, San Francisco. No, I love San Francisco, but I couldn't even identify who it was. He was wrapped in blankets and on a skateboard.
He was gone, baby gone. He was gone, baby gone.
Speaking of vagrants, let's just dive right into Jada Pinkett Smith.
We're overdue to speak about this. We should have talked about it last week and we didn't, and that's on us. I must just say.
So go ahead. I know you're like actually annoyed about this chapter.
No, I'm
of
not.
The
No,
Pinklets.
I like want to do a whole other episode about her because of this. The fact that she had the to quote Ramona Singer, the audacity to deliver that book to us, and then, because every single person that has a podcast and or a voice said, Jada, what the fuck are you saying that you didn't see the slap and you didn't know what you were talking about? You were in the front row.
Right.
Like the fact that you think that you're pulling one over on us. She
Right.
now has to double down because that's what she does best and come to play and say, oh, actually, the slap is the only thing that's like rejuvenated my love for my husband. And like he should have assaulted someone. And it's now called the holy slap.
They call it the holy slap that saved their marriage.
She's slapping all of us in the face and telling us that it's a kiss and telling us that it's a kiss.
She's a lot. Just a reminder that the title of her book is Worthy. The original title was Unlovable. I leave you with that information.
Dominick.
That's a fact. I'm not making that up, Christopher. Google it.
Yes, you are.
Christopher Michael DeRosa. I will pause this podcast.
Are you serious?
I swear to you, she said in interviews that her original title was Unlovable, and somehow it changed to Worthy. I love delivering this information to you, and I hope that you want to fix her even less, because we are not doing another episode about her. I brought her up 4 times during my holiday show. I feel like I'm going to lose fans.
Well, we have to talk about your holiday show, but not just yet. But we have to dissect the night. It was a night to remember, by the way. If you weren't at the cutting room,
it was the night of 1,000 stars. It was the night of 1,000 people who listen to this podcast crammed into a room is what it was. It was pretty fucking amazing. But let's move on with before we even talk about that lunacy, I have to talk about the world's biggest lunatic. Just say the words Brit Watch so I can say what I need to say.
Britney Watch.
Oh, baby. Hey, y'all. This bitch, her Instagram this week is back at
she's unfettered
cuckoo levels.
She's not tied down. I think she fired the social media team and now she's just firing off whatever she wants. And I'm absolutely living for it.
It is lunacy. First of all, I thought that she had posted something the other day and I swore that she was wearing a sombrero and I was like, this has to stop. That red hat she had on and that tube top. She had a red hat on, a tube top, and she was just acting really weird and making the heart signs and shrugging her shoulders and doing some sort of what looked like an interpretive dance with some sort of message that all of the Britwits, is that what we would call a nitwit who follows Britney? A Britwit?
Yeah, you mean me?
I certainly do. Yeah. That all the Britwits were trying to fucking decipher what she was saying, and it just turned out that she was probably having a stroke. But then a day later, she posted pictures from a 2020 house fire where she accidentally burned down her home gym.
Yeah. Yes. Dominick, yes.
I don't remember this happening in 2020.
Oh, I do.
But did we see pictures of it in 2020?
No, but she was like, I burned down my gym. Oops. Like we knew this happened. Yeah.
I think that's the issue is like, she's so gleeful about it. Like she has a family.
Well, and that's
those
when
dogs,
those
dogs, save those dogs.
But that's also when we were like, Britney's in jail in her own home. So we were like, look, she's burning her house to the ground to escape. You know what I mean? Like,
I see. That's right. That must've been, it was a cry for help. She did it accidentally on purpose. Interesting. Yeah. She's going to lose her mind. She's going to lose her mind.
Dominick, what mind?
Listen to me. I really believe this follow-up book she's doing is going to be some sort of terrorist manifesto. It's going to be this time it's going to be written by her, and it's just going to be one sentence without punctuation. It's going to be 300 pages.
The book's never coming. We've heard zero. We've not heard hide nor hair of it since. She doesn't need to do another book.
There are many ghostwriters behind the scenes making up shit because that was like the biggest book of the year, and they want another one. You know how this goes. They're gonna definitely. They'll release it and not even tell her.
I'm just getting eyes on the home gym burning down. She's never posted these pictures where it's like literal ash.
It's like actual ash. Yeah. No, it's a crime scene. She posted a crime scene that she caused.
It's like arson. I haven't. She's just posting random pictures. Like this is the most recent thing that she posted 31 minutes ago. It's her hugging one of her kids at school, and it says, "I didn't get to see my kids as much as I wanted, so I would go to their school and have lunch with them!" Exclamation point! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! He just wanted me to hold him, though. Our professional conversations. What does that mean?
It means she's unwell.
I
Also, all the
love
stuff about I wanted to see my kids. She hasn't seen them in like 4 years. P.S. So thank you for posting picture of lunch from 6th grade.
Whose fault is that, Dominic? Not hers.
Hers.
No.
Okay, we're not.
No.
Chris, I cannot end my friendship with you today. It's
really
the
quickly. You remember whenever the man was dancing with her in front of the Weather Channel?
Yes.
That was Cade. I have been told that was Cade, her manager, which sent me into the absolute stratosphere, and I've yet to come back from it.
And I am not even a Britwit, and I called out that it was Cade.
No, you knew. You knew. You are a Britwit. You
also,
don't want to admit it. You don't want to admit it to us, but you are. Anyway.
At another date, we're going to talk about naming someone Cade. I mean, it sounds like a. It sounds It sounds like something you'd have in a wood shop. Can you hand me that Cade?
Well,
I need to do some planing.
Dominic, that's not his name.
What's his name?
That's his LA name.
What do we think his Mississippi name is?
It doesn't matter.
Okay. Well, you've dismissed Cade.
Brittany's Instagram is a absolute cornucopia of different things.
I love your holiday allegories. Thank you very much.
She
it
just
is
posted
She
just posted a random picture of herself looking into the camera and wrote October 2nd, 2023. And that was posted 1 day ago.
She doesn't know the numbers as well as how to read.
I love it. Like, I love it.
P.S. Have you seen pictures of Sam Asghari recently? He's lost 40 pounds since they split up, and he is somehow an even piecier piece of ass than he was when he was Mr. Britney Spears.
No, but it looked weird in the picture I saw.
Like
his arms looked unproportional and weird.
Well, maybe they were photoshopped, but he's definitely lost weight. They always take it too far. Like, it's never good enough. Even if they look good in a photo, they got to ruin it and Photoshop it. But
there's some weird underarm. He's taking after our guest this week and doing some underarms tune-ups.
You think it's surgical? I would still remove all my clothes and lay down on top of him.
No, sure.
Politely requested that I get off of him.
Dominic, who amongst? But what I'm saying, hey, P.S. thought he looked great before.
Of course he did. There were absolutely no complaints about him. So for him to show up hotter, it's like,
but it's
okay, I'll take it.
It's like weird. It's weird. And also, he will never do anything ever again. So this is the most he's getting right now.
You never know. You never know.
Sure.
He can turn out to be a Golden Globe Award winning supporting actor in a television series, miniseries, or special.
Dominic.
Let's move on to this latest thing that Rebecca and Tom brought to our attention recently about a resurgence in the Alyssa Milano Shannon Doherty feud from more than 20 years ago from Charmed. As it turns out, on Shannon Doherty's new podcast, Holly Marie Combs recalls that Alyssa Milano is the one who got Shannon Doherty fired from the show because she said it was either her or me, and they chose to get rid of Shannon Doherty because Alyssa was going to sue the producers of Charmed for a hostile work environment. Alyssa Milano, how dare you?
Sue for a hostile work environment?
She was going to file hostile work environment claims against the production company.
Well, I'll say this, Shannon
because
Doherty,
she wasn't getting along with Shannon Doherty.
Why? Yeah, why would it be hostile, Shannon Doherty?
No, Alyssa was the one who said it was hostile.
I'm saying, Shannon Doherty, what did you do to make it a hostile work environment if she's ready to file claims that then got you fired?
You are revealing yourself to be Team Alyssa Milano here.
I'm just saying that's what I hear from this story.
Interesting.
I'm Team No One.
Well,
I'm Team P3, okay?
Oh my God.
That's what I am.
Holly Marie Combs, who obviously is someone who should be listened to, her vote clearly goes to Shannon Doherty. So everyone's anti-Alyssa right now. Well, and Alyssa, today is her 51st birthday, and she posted some bullshit online in response and was just like, here are the lessons I've learned now that I'm at level 51.
And then Shannon Doherty was like, here's a lesson I learned of you being a fucking cunt. Right?
So I've never watched an episode of Charmed, I might add.
It's terrible, but back in the day, it was popping.
I always just thought it was like a non-equity version of Buffy. Like, am I wrong about that?
No, you're not. But like, I mean, Tom is like absolutely putting a gun like in his pocket to come kill.
Are
both of
people
us
picking?
and
Are people hitting
shooting
their
him.
phones with
Yeah.
sledgehammers
Oh,
and
no,
saying
people are-
"Curse
yeah.
you, Dominick Pupa"?
No, Tom is like driving to both of our houses right now to kill us for us saying that. But
Well,
like,
I'm not home, Tom. So
it's-
good luck.
It's like you're not wrong, but it's a thing. Remember, like Dr. Quinn, like Medicine Woman, and like
Vividly,
and
yeah.
like what was the one with Chuck Norris? Like what was his thing? Oh, Walker,
The
Texas Ranger.
Walker,
It's
Texas
like one
Ranger.
of those. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like where it's
Yeah.
like, oh, it's like episodic where they like go in and there's a problem and then they fix it at the end and like blah blah. It's like one of those.
Obviously, Alyssa Milano is not going to say anything too harsh because Shannon Doherty's been very ill
Yeah,
for
like
years. So
almost
she's
died
probably,
like 17
right.
times. Yeah.
I
mean, you just
Cut
have to
that
say
out.
nothing. You just have to say nothing. Like, what do you say? Nothing. You just
Yeah.
move it right along, right?
Speaking
you're
of
her.
someone who should say nothing,
Here we go.
no, I can't watch the George Santos interview.
With Z-Way.
I can't. I've seen a couple of clips of
Oh,
it,
I
and I
can.
get so angry that I know we have talked about let's fix him again and blah blah blah. I refuse. I think he is a horrific troll of a human being. He is Templeton the rat from Charlotte's Web. It is a humiliation in the history of our nation that this piece of shit was a member of Congress. And I'll base this solely on the fact that he is a gay man. He is a gay Republican, which it's still word for word in the Republican platform that marriage should only be between a man and a woman. How you reconcile that is between you and Cher.
Well,
so I
sure.
don't even know. But he sits up there and Z-Way's like, what did you think of Harvey Milk? And he just didn't know who Harvey Milk was, which is
Dominick,
simply astonishing to me that he couldn't even cobble together an answer or an excuse or something. He should be put down, really. He should just be put down.
Dominick, he's a grifter. He doesn't know who anyone is. He knows
I
who he
hate this
is.
person.
No,
I actually hate him.
sure. I'm more upset that Showtime canceled Z-Way's show.
That
Like,
is
I'm
so
upset that she had to-
bizarre, isn't it?
I'm upset that she had to put this on YouTube. That's who I'm upset with in this
But
position.
why would
And
they
should
do
be
that?
kicking themselves.
Yeah, they
Kicking
definitely should.
themselves. They should be like, I'll say it again.
What
You
should they be doing?
Kicking yourselves. Yellow
Yes.
Jackets is not doing it. Okay. You need a little
I
bit
know.
more, and it was Z-Way.
They
Keeping
just
us
have
there.
such few titles with any juice, and everyone knows who she is. It's like she's
Yeah.
having an actual moment because of the airtime they gave her, and then they cut her loose. Very bizarre decision.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
bizarre.
Anyway,
I want to talk about Cardi B and Offset and their New Year's Eve plans. This is, to me, I don't know if it's real or not. I think it is absolutely hysterical and brilliant, and I almost hope it's not real because it's absolute genius. On New Year's Eve, Cardi B and her ex, I mean, they're still, I believe, technically married, but they are split up.
yeah, they
Her
just
ex
split up
Offset,
recently, right?
right? They are both performing at the Fontainebleau Hotel in Miami in different venues at
Love
the
it.
same hotel
Love it.
at the same time on New Year's Eve, and they're making like a big deal out of it, like it's a prize fight. Who's going to get the bigger audience? And I guess they were scheduled to do this before they broke up, but now that they've quote unquote broken up, which seems like a publicity stunt for New Year's Eve, but I think it's absolutely fantastic.
Dominick, if we were that famous and we then stopped doing this podcast together and then did warring podcasts where people had to choose which one of us they would go to, like that's hilarious.
That would be absolutely
That's amazing.
Let's do that. Let's
Like,
actually
we should
do that.
Yeah. Like that's
Let's
amazing.
do a mid-year faux split
Tug of war, if you
where
will.
we have
Yeah.
dueling podcasts.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to pick one.
It's beautiful. I love everything about that. It's so messy in the best way.
It's a great idea. I cannot remember. Madonna is here now and she's in New York and she's in the United States. Did you see her concert or are you going in January?
No,
Or
I don't
neither.
think I think I'm gonna skip out. I think.
Yeah, I sat this one out as well. I had tickets, but then couldn't go because of my show. my
I've
holiday
only
show.
heard I've only heard from every single person that saw it that it wasn't good. So I'm not.
Yeah, I have. It's been sort of lackluster, the reviews. And my friends were there on the first night when I guess she came out. She set the record on her tour for starting at 10:44 p.m. Ma'am, come on.
No. That's like unacceptable. I'm sorry to say.
And look, no one's denying that Madonna is like one of the artists of the millennium. No one's denying that. People get very upset when you critique that she's late because it's like she's burlesque, she's drag, she's a nightclub experience. Like everyone understands all that. But people also have to work and take the subway home. So you can't go on that late, man.
And like, tell me that you're going on that late. Like, say the concert starts at 10:45 and then I'll show up at 10:30. You know what I mean? Not show up at 7 to then wait for 3.5 hours.
Of course. I do like how she looks now because she looks to me sort of like a sexy, mature Italian woman. Like she's just looking like lusty and busty, and I like the way she looks. I think she looks her age, which I do not think is bad. I've never thought it's bad. I think it's amazing. I also think that she did not almost die this year, and she just got a goddamn facelift. Like,
no, I was going to say, so you think
her
that
facelift?
So you think that her hospital stint, aka her in sheltering in place to heal her facelift.
I mean, who am I? I have not signed a HIPAA release. I don't know any of but I would think that maybe she just had a stomach bug and she was like, while you're in there, please remove half of my face.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
I just think so. I don't think she should be embarrassed about it. Also,
I mean, that's what you're going to do the next time you get hospitalized. You're going to be like,
I'm not really in like, San Francisco. I'm in Turkey.
Yeah. You're like, I'm getting my neck chopped off.
I'm glad you brought that up because the listeners should know that because we have talked about my impending neck lift on this podcast so much, that mine and Chris's entire Instagram algorithms are just about neck lifts.
No,
and dozens of you, and I mean dozens of you, have messaged us neck lift alternatives, remedies, or doctors that will do it, to the point now where listeners are saying that their feeds are now full of neck
you've now caused other people to have this. It's like this thing where you rub on your neck. Like, again, why the fuck they're not sending us one for free, I don't know. But like this thing that you like rub on your neck to like laser it away.
It's so funny though to hear it and then go do my holiday show and people are coming to my show who only know me from the podcast, and they're greeting me afterwards and just saying, "You don't need a neck lift." I'm like, wow, people listen to this podcast. It's bizarre.
You told people to hold you accountable, so now they are. I'm so sorry.
I did. So I'm gonna really have to get one now, or I'll just have to do a handstand when I see all these people so they don't see. Speaking as we did earlier of humiliating homosexuals in the halls of Congress, this Senate sex scandal, I can't. I absolutely
wait. You know that Tom's husband Trevor was like, so like the Senate bottom, and I was like, what are you talking about? And then he sent me the link, but we were sitting down to your holiday show, so I was like, I can't receive this right now. No pun intended.
No pun intended. Wait, so you were watching that tape as I was trying to entertain people?
I was like, I must like set this aside to like fully digest it once I'm not about to watch you be on stage. So like
Did you then watch it?
The next morning, I then got eyes on it and was texting Trevor. Was like, okay, I'm finally getting eyes on this. And I was like, oh my God, what the fuck is this? It is so wild.
I mean, it's butt sex in the halls of Congress.
It's
in like
crazy.
A congressional chamber. It's
why?
Because that is a generation of people. This is going to seem like nothing in 2 years. It's going to be something that happens every day.
They're like, this is my OnlyFans. What do you mean? Like, it's
right.
Have you seen that these people are like digging up his old like Instagram stories?
Oh,
where he's
and
like,
they're terrible.
He's
horrid. He's a horrific person. Like,
this is what I'm gonna say to you. The United States government is absolute fucking garbage because George Santos was allowed to literally be a part of the government. And like, this was all out in the world on the internet, whatever. And you're just like, not even like, no one saw this. No one thought, oh, this is inappropriate. Like all these weird things where he's talking about sucking congressmen's fingers and shit. Have you
And
seen
then
this?
still getting hired after that. Like
Yes.
no one did a
Yes.
background check on this kid's Twitter before he got hired to the United States government.
Yeah, it's insane. You can do any. I could put my butthole on my Instagram story, and they'd be like, "Sure, hello."
I don't know. I don't know how I'm supposed to respond to that, but part of me wants you to do it just to see what would happen.
Butthole.
Put your butthole on. Put your butthole on.
My
the
butthole. Remember you were gonna.
Yes, put your butthole on the FFP Insta page and see what happens.
No one
see
wants
if we
to
get
see that.
canceled.
No one wants to see that. Anyway.
I read an article today, by the way, in the New York Post, which I found very interesting because it's the first time I've seen publicly someone acknowledge that if you go to the Rockefeller Center tree at 5 a.m, it is lit every day at 5. I thought until recently this was a secret, and I can't remember if I told this story on this podcast before. I know I've told it online and in other media, but many years ago, like in the late 90s, I was a bartender and we would go to an after hours that was literally when you left the after hours and opened the door to the building that it was in, you were facing the tree, the Rockefeller Center tree. It was so bizarre. So it was on whatever the street is, it's on the southern border of Rockefeller Center. It was in like a brownstone or a building there where you would just open right out. And my boyfriend and I at the time were twirling on whatever the hell we were doing then. We were like 25 years old. It was insane. And it was 5 a.m. We were covered in sweat for an after hours. And we had come out of this hot party and I had to just take a break. And so the tree was off. It was because this was close to 5 a.m. And we went up to it and I just leaned against a rail, like right underneath the tree so I could catch my breath. And then without warning, the tree just lit up and we were the only people there in Rockefeller Plaza. And it startled me so much that I fainted. I passed out at the base.
You have told me the story before.
I think maybe that was the last time in my life that I fully fainted. But I did pass out and then reacted to it by telling everyone the good news, which was you can go to the tree lighting any morning you want at 5 a.m. Now it's a thing. Like it's not just a secret anymore. Just something that random gay guys are saying online. It's like
the tree lighting. It's definitely the tree lighting up that made you faint, not all of the God knows what kind of drugs you were on at the time that you were.
How dare you? No, it was definitely a combination of both. Okay, I mean, had I not been, playing drugstore cowboy in my 20s, I'm sure that I wouldn't have fainted, but I would have been startled for sure. I would have been startled. What are you? So this is actually the last podcast that's going to air before the day of Cher's birth, December 25th, our Lord. So what are you doing for Christmas? Where do you go? Where will you go?
I'm going to go to my mom's. And speaking of my mom,
I got to meet Chris's mom, listeners. It was a joy. First of all, she's younger than me, or at least appears that way, which is very, very glamorous and also insanely unsettling.
She also came in Dominick Pupa cosplay. Like she basically wore the exact same outfit that you wore on stage.
She did
to your show,
and I did not know this. And disappointing. I know she did, but I wish I'd known because I always change out of that outfit afterwards. And we could have taken a great picture. Also, it was just a disaster. I changed. My poor mother, was ill and could not go. And we were going to do a Moms of FFP photo shoot. It was just a disaster. Thank God the show is so monumental, though, because at least that made up for it.
It was. You were on your A game. People were dying laughing.
It was a fun night. I'm being like jokingly arrogant about it, but it was a very fun night. And so many people, honestly, in all the cities I've been doing this holiday show, there are people showing up who only know who I am from this podcast, and the loveliest, coolest, pop culture loving, fun fucking people. Like everyone I've met makes me feel good about doing this podcast because they are all the exact kind of people that we want to be listening to this podcast. They are people that we would hang out with and now do.
Basically do, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just one big party.
But it was great. It was the best time. And truly, when I say that I ran up to your father and was like, before Dominick sees us speaking, like, how do I get you on the podcast behind his back? And
I won't allow it.
he was
I will not allow it.
He was like, reach out to me directly. Like, we'll have to go through like blah, blah. Like
Reach
we
out
were
to
like,
me
we had like a
directly. Okay.
full like it was like the Hunger Games. Like we were like trafficking like goods through like God knows what. Like we were having a full web of like lies spread to like
I will tell you that him thinking that I don't want him on this podcast is like he's more severe about it than me, but he talks about it so often that I'm now nervous about doing it because I feel like he has a plan to take it over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said we'll edit out anything. You're like, you don't even want to see what he'll say, and I go, we'll edit it out. It's like, I'm rabid to have your father on this podcast. Anyway.
He'll definitely come on in 2024.
Yes,
I will see them next weekend. I will obviously be going there for the holidays, and then the day after, I will be going to London because I have very financially soundly decided to book an entire vacation to Europe in the busiest travel week of the year so I can see Nicole Scherzinger in Sunset Boulevard.
You're an
London.
absolute idiot.
It is, ladies and gentlemen, what you're hearing here is peak homosexual behavior. I am getting on a plane to see a Pussycat Doll in an Andrew Lloyd Webber musical. That is basically it. That is the reason I'm leaving the United States.
We also
Christmas.
we're going to need a full rundown.
I can't. I've only heard wonderful things about it,
Like
about the musical.
A full rundown.
I'm going to see the ABBA hologram show Voyage as well. That's the other reason I'm going. And I know that's been out for a while, but I didn't want to just solely travel for that. Nicole Scherzinger, I will get on a plane for though.
All right, a few housekeeping things.
Go for it.
First and foremost, guys, if you want the Long Island iced tree candles, you got to get it right now.
Like today.
Like you should pause the podcast, go to Wax Cabin Candle Company and buy them because there's nothing else. Like this is it. Okay. They're like almost gone. So if you want one, you gotta hurry. Speaking of Wax Cabin Candle Company, the fact that Jen Gunn, the owner of Wax Cabin, came to your show and I was like, who is this random supermodel?
She's a model.
She's a model. A model.
She is.
I was like, who's this beautiful
tall
woman that I recognize, but I don't know, I've never met before? And then she goes, hi, it's Jen. And I was like, oh my God, you're so
We've only
pretty.
seen her online. Right. She is about 6. Well, I mean, she's probably not 6 feet tall, but to someone my height,
but to you, she's 6 feet tall.
And
she's taller than me.
Unspeakably gorgeous. Speaking of Long Island iced tree, while in San Francisco, I had dinner with my friend, Courtney Wilson, and she reminded me after the show, which is something I forgot, that in August, she had suggested to me, because I used to name my Christmas trees every year and do like a theme. And she, after listening to the podcast, had recommended that this year I named the tree the Long Island Iced Tree. And I don't know if I was stoned when I read it or forgot it, or it's possible that I stole it and don't remember if that's a thing. And so she brought it up and I wanted to possibly give her credit, but I don't know if I forgot it happened. Did I come up with it on my own? I don't know, but
Dear God.
We did confirm the text. It was in writing and I felt absolutely horrible. So I bought her vodka tonic and cheese curds for dinner last night as payment for allowing me to possibly have stolen that name.
Well, I mean, you are also lighting up blunts on this podcast now, so like God only knows. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure that you were too high to the like and forgot all about it. So God, like I have to side. I must side with her on this.
Listen, I get stoned on purpose, so I forget everything we've done, and I can listen to the podcast fresh every Wednesday and say, "Oh, they're funny. Who are they?
Who are those two women that are?
Right? Who are those raspy Italian women?" Joe Pesci's grandmothers sound wonderful on the
podcast. Okay, our final thing. Guys, next week is the Fixie Awards.
The Fixie Awards.
And tomorrow, you guys...
Thursday the 21st.
In the Patreon,
yeah,
you're going to be voting for some awards, okay?
Yeah.
So, like, get ready. Thursday, the ballots are going up and it's time to vote. Anyone that is a paid member of the Patreon can vote in these. And so if you're not in at least the $5 tier and you want to be a part of this, sign on up. Okay.
And it's very important that I want to note that the reason that these categories are going to be available on Thursday and not today, the day that the podcast drops, is because we have not decided what they are.
Well, I've decided what they are. You
I
just
mean,
haven't looked at them yet.
Is that true? Did you send me did you send me that Google Doc?
I sent you a shared
Oh
note
God,
with
I'm
all of
such a
them in there.
Christmas monster. I can't do anything except take to a stage in December
Yeah.
of February. You're lucky
No.
you have me for this hour.
However, there are going to be some categories that we decide ourselves amongst the Academy ourselves.
Right,
But then
that we'll be doing.
The
As
greater
RuPaul
Academy
says, the
yes.
decision is mine to make in some of these
Correct.
categories.
However, the greater Academy, aka all of the patrons, you guys, the fixies themselves, will decide some of the awards. So, just letting you guys know, tomorrow, get ready.
And we'll also have special guest Rebecca Bregman for the Fixies back, because she is our award show correspondent, and the Fixies are a goddamn award show. Our year-end best and worst of the Fixables.
We could talk all day. I mean, we got to get to we have to go.
We have our final fix of the year coming up right now.
Ready to start talking to your kids about financial literacy? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app that teaches kids and teens how to earn, save, spend wisely, and invest with your guardrails in place. With Greenlight, you can send instant money transfers, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Join millions of parents and kids building healthy financial habits together on Greenlight. Get your first month free at greenlight.com/Wondery. That's greenlight.com/Wondery.
Are you struggling to close deals? Cold outreach is wasting the time of both the buyer and seller at every stage, especially when sellers are using shallow and outdated data. Your organization can overcome these challenges with technology that translates comprehensive, high-quality buyer data into real-time insights. These deeper insights empower sales reps and teams to adopt the habits of top performers, which leads to better outcomes, like more pipeline, higher win rates, and larger deals. We call this deep sales. And we've built the first deep sales platform with the next generation of LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Right now, you can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a 60-day free trial at linkedin.com/trial. That's linkedin.com/trial for a 60-day free trial. Let LinkedIn Sales Navigator help you sell like a superstar today. Just go to linkedin.com/trial and get started.
All right, Dominic, I know I always say we have a big one. We have a big one today. Hello. Susie Banikarim is an Emmy-winning journalist and filmmaker who has run newsrooms at Vice, Gizmodo, and the Daily
She's
News.
showing the Emmy right now. Did you see
Boom.
that? She showed us
Yes.
the Emmy.
I mean, I felt like you should see it, right?
We should, yes, just to prove it. You are a journalist.
It's just very casually in the background of my Zoom.
Of course it is.
Susie, you have started a new podcast called In Retrospect. And you know what? I always know when a new podcast is good because I always go, why the fuck did I not think of this idea? And it's exactly up our alley to like rehash iconic TV and pop culture moments from the 80s and 90s. And it's something we kind of do on this show a little bit, but not with as celebrated a crowd as you have on your guys' show. Could you tell us a little bit about the podcast?
Yes. So I host the podcast with Jessica Bennett, who is an editor and columnist at the Times. And she's been covering the gender beat for a long time. She's kind of most well-known for having been the first person who profiled Monica Lewinsky when we started to re-examine that. I mean, it's not what she's most well-known for, but it's one of the
Heard of
things she's
her.
well- yeah.
Heard of her. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she's great. We've been friends for a long time. We started as babies together in media, and we've just always, talked about these stories, and we're always like calling each other in the middle of the night being like, oh, I fell down this rabbit hole about so-and-so. And so we pitched this podcast, and, we got lucky. iHeart is producing it, and we've done lots of really interesting topics so far. We did Oprah's famous Wagon of Fat episode, which you might remember when she lost weight
vividly.
and then pulled out this like red child's wagon full of fat. We did Mary Kay Letourneau recently, actually, which is a lot of people are talking about because of the new May December movie, which is based on the Mary Kay Letourneau story, which is
Right.
about a 30-something-year-old teacher who had an affair with her 12-year-old student.
Yes.
But was portrayed weirdly in the media as kind of a love story. So we're sort of looking at how the media covered a lot of these stories. In addition to kind of revisiting them, we're also kind of asking questions about why they were covered the way they were, and would it be that different now? It's kind of hard to say in some cases.
That's so interesting.
Right? It is actually kind of,
Yeah.
you want to think that it would be so different. And in some cases, I think it would. Like in that case, like a 12-year-old, you think it would probably be different. But
Now, wait, were you also a reality producer at one point?
I was an associate producer on the first season of Wife Swap.
Wow.
Which I've talked about a little bit on the show. We did a show about regrets, and I talked about the children. Like, I don't really regret any of the producing you do behind the scenes with the adults, but you know, the children don't get a vote. And as I'm sure you guys have thought about too in your careers. And at Wife Swap, it was the associate producer's job to get the children to tell you terrible things about their parents. So I do think about that some. We have an episode where I talk about that regret. But yeah, it was a fascinating experience.
I produced 3 episodes. I mean, almost everyone in reality in New York who's my age had to at least slog through a few episodes of that. And I remember after the first one, which it was hard. That was a very hard show to work on.
To produce,
And I remember the EP saying the average life for a producer or director on the show is 3 episodes. I was like, nah, I could do a million of these. And I did 3. I couldn't. After the third one, I truly said never again. Worked with some great people, but the requirements for the show, what was needed to make an episode was just a lot. It was one of the more stressful producing jobs that I've had.
Well, you know, we're going to gossip about someone who is obsessed with reality television on this episode, and that is Mrs. John Legend herself, Miss Chrissy Teigen.
Now, Susie, at the top of our, should we call these, well, no, they're fixes. I wanted to call them fixations because they sort of are fixations.
They are fixations.
They're momentary fixations. At the top of each fixation, we have our guest and Chris guess what the person we're fixing, what their middle name was for no reason at all. Christine is her first name. The last name is Teigen. What is your guess for her middle name?
So the problem here is that I'm a journalist, so I cheated and I looked.
And we appreciate you admitting it. It's not the first time. That means Chris is on his own. He still has to.
Yeah. She's tweeted about it, if that makes you feel any better.
Okay.
And it's related to food, not a food item I'd heard of. But these are the 2 hints I have for you as someone who knows.
A food item
Her middle name is Chicken. Sorry.
Chicken finger.
Yeah,
Chrissy Chicken Teigen.
Yeah, Christine Sharp Cheddar Teigen. No. Her name is
Her middle name is Funnel Cake.
That would be great.
But a food item that you haven't heard of would be something very obscure.
But the name is like a regular person's name.
Yeah, I don't know what Susie's talking about here. As a person who knows the middle name as well, I'm like, I don't know where we're going with this.
I'll tell you what the tweet was.
All right, well, wait.
Christine Ramp Teigen.
Oh, that's a good guess.
So seasonal.
That's a good guess.
What is it?
Twizzler. Christine Twizzler.
Shut your mouth.
Teigen. It is Diane. Spelled Diane.
Like Steak Diane.
Diane.
Steak Diane. I didn't know what a
didn't I
Steak
think
Diane
about
was.
that?
What is a Steak Diane?
I don't know. Siri, what's a Steak Diane? Your best work,
Steak
bitch.
It
There's
was
nothing. She said
filet?
literally nothing.
What is Steak Diane?
I can't believe you knew what that was. I was like, I don't even know what that is, but she
It
tweeted.
has.
I
But it
hate
was
to say
why
this.
she
I'm
named
not
that.
a fan of Chrissy Teigen, but I love the name Diane. I've always loved the name
Yes, I
Diane.
like that
I
name
love
too.
Diane Carroll. I have a late Aunt Diane who was glamorous and wonderful.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay. Steak Diane is basically steak, but you use the juices from the runoff juices to make the sauce. And it's often with like mushrooms on top of it. That's what it is.
So they called her Diane because they didn't like the sound of Oju as a middle name. Christine Oju
Oju.
Teigen. That was the option. Chris, are you drinking Pepsi?
No, it's in a Pepsi glass, but it's Coke Zero.
Okay, thank you.
I like how
that's
shocked you were.
How dare you think I was drinking
how dare I?
Pepsi?
The glass says Pepsi on it. How dare you?
Look, and it's Christmas jingle bells.
Where did you get that glass?
A vintage store.
Oh.
I was going to suggest that it was from a swag bag, so vintage store is much cooler.
No. If only. Pepsi's not sending us jack shit, and they're definitely not now that Dominick screamed at me for drinking it.
So, I mean, Chrissy, Diane, Teigen. Where to begin, Christopher?
I mean, where to begin? So, Chrissy Teigen. I mean, where did everyone come to Chrissy Teigen?
Well, Chrissy Teigen was a briefcase model on the game show Deal or No Deal during the pilot and first season. Yes.
With Meghan Markle.
Yes.
I did not know that, actually. No,
I only knew it when I started my research 45 seconds ago, and I saw it on her Wikipedia page.
So, despite that, I think that like many wives of very famous celebrities, she kind of she was beautiful. You know, her and John Legend are on the red carpet together. Like, she's definitely like a wife that we're into as a society, is like how I started to come to her. And then she really became, in my opinion, like the queen of Twitter. Like
100%.
Like, she had a monopoly on Twitter about like whatever she wanted to talk about. And it grew, like, I'm skipping so much, but like she really did grow a huge following on just like tweeting about God knows what.
Absolutely. I mean, I'd go so far as to say there are millions of people who know her from that first. They don't know anything about Sports Illustrated or anything.
So I feel like that's actually, I had to look up how she was famous. Like, other than being John Legend's wife, when we were talking about doing this, I was like, I don't actually know what Chrissy Teigen was famous for on her own.
I didn't either until today.
And I feel like everything I've learned about her, I've kind of learned against my will. Like, it's been kind of forced on me. You know what I mean?
By her, likely.
By her.
Yeah.
And like People Magazine. Like, I just feel like we're constantly bombarded with information about Chrissy Teigen. But I think what made her really famous on Twitter was that she got into it with Trump. And that was like a really big deal. And then it got covered on like CNN. So she started to get like a lot more attention during that period.
Right.
But it turns out, based on what I read on Wikipedia, that she was actually famous in her own right before she married John Legend. I just had no idea.
Well, she was a model. I mean, I think that was her sort of like the beginning
famous, like quote unquote.
Absolutely.
Like,
well, definitely. I mean, she was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. She was like, I don't know that I'd not heard her name before she was attached to John Legend, but I think, she went stratosphere when they got married, obviously, and then it just became like she was not unsuccessful when she met him. She wasn't plucked from obscurity,
but she wasn't a household name, like she
not even close. No,
you know what I mean.
I don't even know that John Legend was a household name the way he is now. Like, she was in one of his early videos, right? His most famous song is about her, so I kind of feel like they kind of became really famous together. All of You, I think.
Oh, that's about her.
That's about her.
And that's like, who else would it be about?
Only song of his I can
previous
name.
Girlfriend, his first wife, the secret family that lives in Amsterdam. Could be about anybody.
But I think what she did well is that she went from being, again, a model who then married someone with an EGOT to, like, you know what I mean, someone who doesn't need to prove how talented they are. And she kind of was like a model that didn't really have any real, like, instead of being Jessica Seinfeld, who thinks that she's going to write a cookbook, like, for no reason at all. Like, she was like, I'm going to be really funny on the internet, which usually doesn't work and is terrible. She actually was like the only person, in my opinion, that's like the wife of a celebrity that actually made that work.
And she did it for a while.
But you do know she's written like a bunch of cookbooks, right?
Sure. No, that's fine. But that's
I just love that. You're like, instead of just writing cookbooks.
No, but she did that after she became Chrissy Teigen, the queen of Twitter. Do you know what I mean? Like, she did that in her own right as a celebrity, not as John Legend's wife.
Yes, I think that's right. I think she has her own persona outside of John Legend, which I do think it's like offensive when we refer to women just as the wife of someone. So I do appreciate that. I think she has a whole kind of persona outside of him.
100%.
Well,
I
I think
will-
that,
And I think I think she's more famous than he is. Personally, I really do.
I think that that's an insane statement.
I mean,
I'm going to go on record
but-
saying it.
But you guys need to remember that, like,
know.
for a while, when she would say something on Twitter, it would be national news. Like, it would be. I mean, when she tweeted like, "I like this show," people were like falling all over themselves to get to the couch to start streaming.
Right. Well, she got a very big following pretty quickly on Twitter. You know, she is the wife of John Legend, and I think we can all agree that part of why many people know her is because of that. But I think wanting to make sure that she wasn't just the wife of John Legend is part and parcel of why she developed this part Jada Pinkett Smith, part Susan Sarandon personality on Twitter, where it's like, here's what I have for breakfast. Here's me taking a dump. And also here's what I think about politics. And I'm going to say shit because I can until I get in trouble. Until the floor fell out from underneath her it wasn't because of those statements. I mean, we'll get to that in a minute, but it was that she did all that. She did it on her own, baby. I don't know. She was another one. I have to say, we've been having a lot of these recently. She was another one who I looked at and I'm like, do you deserve our expertise / should you be reintroduced to society? I don't know. Cause some of the stuff she's said is a little borderline for me. But we're gonna get to it. Let's continue on the road we're on, though.
So I feel like it's important for me to tell you guys one of my first memories of becoming aware of Chrissy Teigen, because it's relatively unusual. Did you know that Chrissy Teigen, as far as I know, is the only celebrity who's admitted to having liposuction in her armpits?
I did not know that.
No. What?
Yeah. So
I might
she
actually like her now.
said this thing. I mean, I can't remember what year it was, but I think it was in 2017. She admitted that when she was younger, she was self-conscious about her armpit fat and that she had it lipoed out and it had really helped her. But it was a long time and now the armpit fat had come back. And I just remember actually, like, it really struck me first because I didn't know that was a thing. But second of all, I was like, wow, celebrities do all sorts of things we do not know about. Like, I remember it being very,
Correct.
like, impactful for me because it was one of the first times I realized that there are all sorts of crazy beauty things that I just don't even know to be self-conscious about. Like, I'm like, oh, do I need armpit liposuction? You know what I mean? Like,
No, well, and that's the genius of Chrissy Teigen, where she's like, I'm going to say this very strange thing that makes no sense, that's going to not only knock you on your ass because you're like, oh, a celebrity is admitting to getting plastic surgery, but also I'm going to do it in this weird way where every single person that is listening to this is going to go, do I have armpit fat? And like try to find where like it's being sucked out of her armpit, right? Because like, where was it? The back of her armpit? Is it like the like little part that's like before the boob that like if you wear like a strapless dress, it like kind of hangs over? You know what I'm saying?
it must be that, right?
Like,
Because
it
is
has
that
to be that. It can't
Like,
be
we
her
don't-
actual armpit.
But again, how are we to know? We don't know. She just said armpit fat. So it's like there's something so amazing about that, because not only is that every single headline, like armpit fat is in every headline, which we eat up, like eat right up.
I
Like
mean,
fucking
it
Sunday
stayed with
dinner.
me. It's
She
the
said-
first thing I thought of when I think
Yes.
of Chrissy Teigen. I'm always like,
But-
oh.
But
armpit
then it's
fat.
some weird thing, and then weirdly, it's like she's brave because she's coming forward that she had armpit liposuction.
Well, she's also been been very honest about having multiple plastic surgery. She has, the quote is, "I had my armpits sucked out." So maybe there was just fat there where the hair grows. I have no idea.
Seems so
But
uncomfortable.
She has said before, everything about me is fake except my cheeks. And
Oh,
while
that's
saying that,
interesting.
pointed to her forehead and her nose and her lips. She had her armpits sucked out. By the way, I am, for the first time, my source here is time.com.
For the first time ever on this podcast. by the
Right.
way.
I have my armpit sucked out, she said, noting that it wasn't a necessary treatment, but it helped her feel more confident in sleeveless tops. It added 2 inches of length to my arms.
Wait, it added length to her arm? That I feel
Well,
like
because
there's so
she
much
can put
information.
like a
'cause it's like
strap,
up.
right? Because
Oh, length
Yep.
up. I didn't even. Oh, wow. That is
yeah.
a really.
She
weird
said
way
it's
to think
coming
about
back, so she might need to pay for it again. But
She might have to get it sucked right back out.
Do we need to just discuss what is going on in the world that Time magazine covered that? Like an actual story?
Not enough, apparently. There's not enough real things happening. Good Lord.
Like, why was that in Time magazine? Shocking.
But regardless, she is or was a master of that. That's not a news story, but it was a news story.
Right.
Because I remember even like back in the day, like working on Bravo shows and her being like, I love the Housewives. And I remember working on Housewives and all the Housewives being like, Chrissy Teigen is DMing me. This is amazing. Like, oh my God, I'm so excited. And this is before she had kind of met a lot of them. And like, it became this whole thing where she was like, I want to meet the Housewives. And John thinks I'm crazy, but I want to meet all the Real Housewives. I'm obsessed with them. We watch them all the time. And so I remember the Housewives that I was working with were one by one being invited to go meet up with Chrissy Teigen and John Legend.
Oh, really?
Yes. And so
that's an amazing piece of information to have.
And so it was like, at the time, it was this thing where she was like, I might be like married to an A-list celebrity and I'm becoming a humongous A-list celebrity, but I love Bravo and I want to meet reality stars and I'm just like you. And you know what I mean? She had a magic, no matter whether it be like, I love Bravo so much.
At some point, I feel, I could be making this up. Maybe I just thought this myself, but at some point I think that Andy Cohen said he thought she would make an amazing housewife.
He has said
she
that
would.
before.
If she wanted to be on Beverly Hills tomorrow, they would do it.
Yeah.
100%.
Like, right?
I feel like it's the only reason she won't do it is because John Legend will be like, no.
Like, I'm not filming one time.
I believe if some of these scandals hadn't happened, she would have done it. I believe if she wasn't viewed so negatively, I think it would have just been an eventuality. I mean, John Legend's got an EGOT. He can do whatever he wants. It doesn't, his career is not going to be destroyed.
David Foster was on Housewives.
Kelsey Grammer did it.
Kelsey Grammer was on the Housewives of Beverly Hills.
But I mean, is Kelsey Grammer an A-list celebrity? He's like in Hallmark movies now. You know what I mean?
How dare you?
How dare you?
How dare you?
How dare you?
Well, first of all, I love Hallmark movies. Let me just start by saying.
You can make that. You can make fun of for sure. But Kelsey Grammer's dating Taylor Swift.
Kelsey Grammer's dating Taylor Swift. I mean, I feel like Kelsey Grammer's a bad guy, right? We don't like Kelsey Grammer.
Regardless, he was very famous and went on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. It has nothing to do with it.
It's true. At the time, actually, I think he was even more famous than he is now.
Yeah, he was still in the post-Frasier glow.
She has this magic where she can, whatever she touched at the time, kind of turned into gold, and every news outlet ran with it, right?
Right.
Like if you're Dominic Source's Time magazine talking about her lipo of her armpit.
She's in the news this week because she did ketamine therapy for her birthday.
And she saw her miscarried child.
Yes.
Which is like a very trippy thing to feel like you saw during your ketamine therapy. Yeah. I mean, I will say that an interesting thing about this question of fixing her is I just went to People magazine out of curiosity and put in her name, and they average an article a week about Chrissy Teigen even now.
I believe that.
Like, she's not as in the zeitgeist, but I don't think she's really gone away for better or for worse.
No,
she did for a minute. She's back now.
No, she's starting to slip back in. She's like tiptoeing back in a little bit, and they're letting her.
Well, I think the miscarriage was like a big news story. When she admitted that she'd had the miscarriage, that she'd lost the baby, she got a lot of sympathy. And I feel like that's when it turned around again for her. Is that a terrible way of framing it?
No, I mean, it might be true. I don't know.
Because there was a lot of empathy around that, right? And I think she was, again, what she does brilliantly is she talks about a thing women don't always feel comfortable talking about. And so she came forward and admitted this thing and how hard it was on her. And I think a lot of women did relate to that. I mean, it's a struggle, many, many women go through. I'm really bringing the vibe down.
No, but it's
with the miscarriage.
But again, it's part of her magic of being like, I'm going to talk about a miscarriage, but then also I'm going to talk about Sonia Morgan. You know what I mean? Like that's like what I'm doing. She mixed a lot of, and she never really like I remember thinking, wow, she really is doing such a good job, like not having to ever be tied down by being one thing. She's simply a celebrity. Like she really is like an it girl in kind of a way. Because she's not a model. Like she does not model anymore. Like where is she modeling anything?
She was on the 50th cover of Sports Illustrated.
Right. Not solo, but she was on the cover.
Yeah, but they brought her
you're
back.
Not like you're not seeing her like she's not Gigi Hadid.
No. But
No.
know what I
Teigen
mean?
is
Like,
also a
no.
lot younger than
I mean,
Chrissy
sure.
Teigen.
I'm just saying, like, she's not like doing like billboard ads for clothing. Like,
Right.
Yeah,
she doesn't really need. She
do a
doesn't.
lot of modeling.
She
It's
doesn't
true.
really need to do that. She's not really a model anymore, and she's not a singer or an actor or anything. She really is just a celebrity,
Yeah, she's a personality.
a personality. Sure,
Right.
She like hosts shows and she does
She
cooking
hosted Lip
shows
Sync
and-
Battle with LL
Yeah.
Cool J. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
And she makes cringy, memeable faces at award shows.
Yes,
Yeah.
very memeable.
You know, she
faces.
does. Yeah.
but like, she's more famous than doing the cringy meme face than she is doing a television show.
Correct.
You know what I
Well,
mean?
that's
Like,
why, you know, she
That's correct.
is in fact known as being John Legend's wife. And now for these these other things we'll talk about where she just sort of like was going off the rails regularly in her DMs to people, some of them children, and saying really fucked up shit. So Courtney Stodden was a girl who was
God,
married
a
to a
name I
man.
haven't a name that I haven't heard in a long time.
Right. Well, Courtney Stodden was a girl who was married to a man named Doug Hutchison. And in May of 2021, Courtney said that during her marriage, Chrissy Teigen not only tweeted about her, which we all saw, but privately messaged Courtney Stodden to kill herself. And she was a minor at the time when Chrissy Teigen sent these messages. So Chrissy Teigen apologized to Courtney Stodden. She said she was mortified, and she described herself as an insecure, attention-seeking troll. Chrissy Teigen described herself that way. Courtney Stodden accepted her apology, but did say it was probably an attempt to save her business partnerships. And so a month after that, and by the way, this my source here is Wikipedia. After that, Chrissy Teigen released another apology in a lengthy blog post admitting to cyberbullying, because I guess there was a fashion designer along with Farrah Abraham, who she of
Teen
she
mom
of
fame.
she of
pregnant.
Farrah Abraham.
Him.
Yeah. They spoke about being targets of her attacks as well, and they posted screenshots of Chrissy Teigen saying shitty things to them. Chrissy Teigen said that the screenshots had been faked, and that was the end of that. But it didn't help. It didn't help the situation
No.
at the time.
And she only claims the ones from the fashion designer are faked, right? The other ones she admits, certainly the Courtney Stodden
Yes,
one.
I
she
believe
doesn't
so.
deny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
And
mean,
Courtney Stodden was the one. She was on like Celebrity Rehab with Dr. Drew, right? With that husband.
ooh,
And they were like, this isn't legal. And they were like, what? Am I wrong?
that
I
feels
don't
right,
know.
but I don't know if it's right. It just
I don't
feels
know.
right. You know,
Hold
that
on.
feels
Let
like the
me-
kind of couple they
let
were.
me-
She was,
let
I think
me-
she was 16 when they got married. Is that
Yes.
possible?
The couple appeared as cast members in the second season of VH1 reality television series Couples Therapy. It was Couples Therapy with Dr. Drew.
The thing is, that story is a little complicated. I remember the Courtney Stodden story because it kind of seemed like her parents pimped her out to that guy. Like she did not
she
seem
was
like she had
like-
a good family life.
Yeah, she was like a minor, and it was like technically legal because the parents signed her away, but it was like the guy was so much older than her. And they went on Couples Therapy on VH1, and I remember everyone else being like, all the other couples were like, get away from him, like run away, like you are a child, like don't do this. And so it's sad because she probably watched the show, and that was probably what happened, right? In theory, that was like the time that she
Mhm.
tweeted her. So
Mhm.
it's like you're watching this person on TV, and then you're like tweeting all about this, and then also messaging her privately and like saying horrible things to her when the show itself was extremely sympathetic to Courtney and being like, you are not safe in this, like you need
Right.
to, you need help. Like it wasn't like her being like, I'm amazing, and like no one, you know, she was resistant, but like it was extremely obvious watching the show that she was like a child married to a full-fledged adult, and it was really sad.
Well, I think that's kind of why it feels so gross that Chrissy Teigen did this, because it feels like punching down so significantly.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
Like, it's
all
one
it
God.
is.
thing,
That's
right? It's
why I
one
don't
thing
like her.
to
Right.
troll like Donald Trump, who deserves it, and or whatever, right? Like you're like, you know, she was kind of in her like resistance mom era, so she was doing a lot of, you know,
Sure.
tweeting at Trump, whatever. But it's another thing, like, what about Courtney Stodden made you feel anything other than empathy for her? Like, she was just this kind of sad figure, like a poor man's Anna Nicole Smith. I can't imagine having so much vitriol that I would send her a message to unalive herself. Like, that just seems like such a dramatic reaction to kind of like a sad reality show figure.
It's also not trolling. You know, it's actual bullying. Like to me, trolling is something like you humiliate someone in the comment section very publicly. Like that's harassment. It's just plain harassment, you know?
Yeah.
And this is from someone who is a self-described feminist. And I shouldn't even say self-described because she's been active and vocal politically about feminist issues. She's made large donations to feminist organizations before all this stuff happened. So to know that she's doing this was just very, very just disturbing. I don't know that I've forgiven her since, only because was I fascinated with the salaciousness of the Courtney Stodden of it all? Yeah, I mean, like anyone else was, but she's still a child, like an actual child when you're messaging her. It was very bizarre, just very bizarre. And to me, when it happened, negated every bit of good work. You know what I mean? It's like finding out that a rabbi is a Nazi or something. It's just like utterly like it turns everything you represent upside. It turns it into a lie, all of it.
Well, and that's also too, it's like, this is also where her not like having an actual like talent to fall back on hurts her. Cause she can't be like, oh, I'm going to go make a new album. Like, bye. She's now just like, oh, my whole job is to be like a personality on Twitter. And now I can't do that because I was like unmasked. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and even if, let me give her the benefit of the doubt for 2 seconds and be like, okay, you were in it. Like, I don't know what that would be, but sure, you didn't mean to do this, or you were in a very bad place. And so you lashed out at someone else. Let's just say, like, it still is like, okay, now what do you do? Because you're kind of like fucked because you don't really have like any real career to like throw yourself into. You're just supposed to be funny on Twitter. And so it's like, now you're kind of like painted yourself in a corner because you can't. Spike TV isn't, sorry to say, Spike TV is not paying the bills, honey. Like, and no one's watching you for that.
Well, she kind of doesn't need to pay the bills, though, right? I mean, she is married to John Legend, so she could.
She won't pay a bill ever again.
She could have just been like, you know what? This really makes me think, and I'm going to go away quietly and whatever. But I think part of what made it worse to me at the time is she went away for like a minute, and then she came back and was like, it's been really hard on me not to be online.
Yes.
And I was like, girl, no, don't do that.
Because what happened? She came back and was like, guys, it's like really bad. And like cancel culture, like she, in my opinion, is like the number one person that like has been canceled. Like we all decided like, okay, like, no, like you're done now. And we as a society was like, goodbye. And she left. Do you agree with this? No.
I don't know about the number one, but she's certainly up there. I mean, it was pretty immediate and you know, solid, I would say. Yeah, she did go away because no one wanted anything to do with her anymore.
And again, she has nothing to even, not to invoke this, but even R. Kelly, like people were like campaigning to stop him from creating music, and people stopped streaming his music. There were still people that were like, I love his music, so I will not do that. Do you know what I mean? Like there, like even someone who is that horrible, there were still people because of his actual career were like, I will hold on to this.
Sure.
But also I feel like we should separate like criminals from cancel.
No, sure, absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? Like I feel like Harvey in that scenario, Harvey Weinstein is the number one most canceled person.
Sure.
But he's a criminal, right? Like I feel like the Bill Cosbys, the Harvey Weinsteins, like that's a different class. She probably is one of the most popular, kind of mildly annoying people who went on to just get removed from the public eye for some period of time, despite the fact that it was very obvious she still wanted the attention.
For behavior that could be considered criminal, I might add, because urging someone to kill themselves, like there are cases where these people do actually, they are held liable under the eyes of the law. I mean, I can't think of those names. Right. She just got out of jail or just served jail. Right. That girl
the girl that was like, you should do it. And he was like, I don't think I want to do it. Yeah. No. Yeah. The one that was like Michelle Carter, the girl that texted her boyfriend that was like, that basically.
Right. Can you imagine, though, if Courtney Stodden, God forbid, had harmed herself in some way, and then they looked on her phone and the last thing she saw was Chrissy Teigen's tweet? Chrissy, strawberry shortcake, Teigen's tweet.
You're so horrible.
I can't believe it took me this long to revisit that joke.
Yeah,
it's impressive that you stayed in your mind that way.
And the only reason I bring up R. Kelly is that, like, it's like all these people that are like, criminals, they at least have like something that is somewhat of a real career that they can point to be like, but this is the thing that I've put into the world. She's like, here are all the tweets that I've put into the world. You know, I keep going back to the thing of like, she did such a good job of being a celebrity for no reason. And yet like that is kind of her downfall at the end of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, I have to say that I think part of the reason she was so roundly kind of rejected is because she had also canceled a lot of other people. Like, she had participated in the canceling of others with a very gleeful zeal. So I think it made it even more kind of unlikely that she would be forgiven so fast.
And her vocal criticism of Donald Trump had half of Twitter, when they found out these evil things that she was saying privately, half of Twitter already hated her just because of her politics. So they pounced and pounced and pounced and gave her a taste of her own medicine, really.
I mean, and then what happens? Like she comes back and is like, it's been really hard and I've been thinking a lot and I'm really sad.
And made it
like,
worse. Made it infinitely worse.
And I want to be famous again. And like, you guys should all just let me be famous again. Like basically is what she said.
Sure,
I mean, I'm paraphrasing.
Sure
but that
sure was.
Yeah. And then that was like, shut your goddamn mouth. Like it was everyone, then it was really bad.
I feel like it didn't go well. It took a while for her to dig herself out of that particular hole.
Well, she finally got, basically everyone reacts and is like, what are you doing? Stop, goodbye, leave now. And then she really kind of did. Like, I really feel like she hasn't been around. We were just starting to see news stories about her. And this happened a couple years ago, didn't it? I mean, this was a while ago.
It was in May of 2021 that all this went down with Courtney started.
That's recent. It's more recent than I realized.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Well, that was the other thing you said. This is also during COVID. So when you don't have a lot of shit to do, you're going to focus on things like, what did Chrissy Teigen say? And so they pounce. She became very popular during COVID, by the way, as a result, and sort of died by her own sword, was that she got canceled during COVID as well. Because it was during the 2020 election and her criticism of Trump that turned the dial up on her a lot.
Right. The right-wing media was like very focused on her.
Yes.
So they were going to run with any story that was going to help that cause.
For sure.
I mean, and then what happens? Nothing really. Like she's kind of been quiet. We're starting to get a few stories about her. She's like
14 months after after Courtney Stodden made these accusations, Chrissy Teigen celebrated 1 year of alcohol sobriety. So
that's right.
I'm assuming is her saying that was her alcoholism perhaps was partially responsible for her behavior.
It is a good, I mean, I'm going to be gross right now, but like it is a good play by her.
Yeah.
We'll say.
Yeah. I mean, if you're her, what are the others really? I mean, she already called herself a troll, which that's not a troll. That's a psycho. And said that she was an alcoholic. So I don't know. Now the bitch is looking to us, which I think is really rude. Really, that's where they all end here.
It's up to the two of you. How are you going to save Chrissy Teigen's career?
I think we're there.
Are we there?
I think we're there.
Chrissy Teigen, you are famous for nothing. You are famous, and you don't have a career to fall back on, and you have to fix that. So this is what's going to happen. You are going to be in every single runway show in next New York Fashion Week that you can. You are going to be a model again and just show up in every single extremely amazing, famous designer show. Either at the beginning or at the, you are going to be pulling out looks, huge gowns, like craziness, like so that like you get back in what?
I'm enjoying your performance. Continue.
In these like amazing gowns that are just, you're like pulling looks, like just jaw-dropping situations so that you have to have, your picture in the press walking the runway.
Right.
And from there, you do start doing billboard ads. You start doing all kinds of stuff. Like you take back over and like since you're famous, like you're not 22 years old, but you will be booked because you're a famous celebrity that wants to be a model again. And you are going to put your face in as many places as possible so we can't stop looking at you. and simply overexpose us to you again, so that when you do come back to Twitter and like decide to do whatever you want to do and want to talk about random weird shit or like celebrity, like reality stars, like whoever on Love Island that you want to meet, et cetera, et cetera. Like when you do that, then like we're okay with it because we've had to see your face 95,000 fucking times. And I almost was going to pitch her becoming a Real Housewife, but I'm not going to do that. And I almost pitched her doing some kind of musical career. I don't know what, but I'm not going to do that either. But I wanted her to come out with an album at some
Does
point
she
for
have
no reason
musical
at all.
talent?
No, it doesn't matter. That's not the point here. But I
She can
I
auto-tune that
almost
shit.
added that in, and I'm not doing it, but I need you to know that I almost did it because it's funny. But I just need her to like be, so that when people say blank, 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 Chrissy Teigen, it is an internet personality, Chrissy Teigen. It is runway model, Chrissy Teigen.
Interesting.
She needs a career that is not being an internet celebrity.
You have a lot of faith that she can even pull this off. I don't know. I'm not going to poo-poo your idea.
She has no fat in her armpits. She can pull it off.
That was then. She's had too many children
She'll
since then.
suck it right back out. She's ready. She said everything is fake. She'll get a full body redone situation.
Listen, I don't want to, put a thumb on the scale yet because I really want to be able to judge impartially. But I will say, if Lisa Rinna can be in runway shows, I think Chrissy Teigen can be. You know what I mean? Like,
wait, I must go back to when you called Courtney Stott in a dollar store version of Anna Nicole Smith, and I just need to add slam. But now I also need to add. It feels
mean. Am I bullying Courtney Stott?
No, but it's true.
Mildly. Only if you're talking about 18-year-old Courtney.
No, but we all felt bad about Anna Nicole Smith as well.
Right.
Like,
I loved Anna Nicole Smith.
No,
that's what
I'm saying.
It's like
it's a tragic figure.
Feel sympathy for her.
Who among us did not love Anna?
Who amongst?
Who amongst us? That's true.
Who amongst? Right. But also, if Lisa Rinna, that is a slam. If I've ever heard one. Thank you for that.
I mean, listen, you have to admit, it's pretty shocking that she's on runway shows now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, ready?
Yeah,
I'm ready. Hit me.
Christine Eggplant Parmesan
Steak Diane
Teigen legend. The entire time that we were talking, I did not budge from my original pitch, which was just delete your account until the last 5 minutes of us talking. The whole time I just thought, you know what? You don't need you need to be famous, obviously, but you don't need it. Like, you're set for life. You have a ton of kids, and you'll never want for anything currently until the end of their lives, because you don't need to work another day. John Legend has you covered. Could you have a job? Am I being misogynistic? No, I'm just saying, I'm just telling everyone what your situation is. It's not like you need a paycheck. You're good. But you need to be famous, and I don't want her to be. I really don't. I want her to delete her account, because if someone abuses children, you're not allowed around children anymore. So if she abused this platform, she shouldn't be allowed to use it, period. Elon Musk should just get rid of her. But
I mean, Dominic, what you're asking to move the sun and the earth. What are you talking about?
But I no longer think that's not my pitch. That I wanted to let you know my pre-pitch, because I don't like her. But then, because I really focus on what we're supposed to be doing here, what we're committed to doing, I have changed my pitch. Chris is going to need smelling salts after this.
I'm so nervous.
I think that Chrissy Teigen should be the new host of Love is Blind.
Oh my! Are they looking for a new host?
No, but they should, because the ones they have are not good. Chris, ladies and gentlemen.
Dominick Anthony Pupa. Oh, fuck, I lost this one. Fucking
You don't know if you lost it yet. Susie is not spoken, but I'm just, as we're talking about it, and when we're talking about someone, I'm looking at their pictures on my other monitor, and I'm like, you know what? You need to do something brainless with a dash of glamour, and that's it. And they need that. The show needs it anyway, because we've already discussed that that's their problem.
Dominic.
Chris is so upset. Are you crying actual tears?
How good my idea dare you? How, Dominic? How dare you use this against me like this?
I have weaponized your addiction to a television show
my
that,
God.
as of press time, I have not watched an
One
episode
frame of it.
Not one frame.
I also do not watch Love is Blind, although I think it is hosted by
Nick and Vanessa
and
Lachey.
Yes,
Right.
and I have
Who-
seen the memes about how weird
We
their
have-
hosting is.
We
I
have
have
sacrificed them to the gods on this show on
If-
more than one
One
occasion.
occasion.
If
Okay.
Vanessa Lachey, I have said on more than one occasion publicly, if Vanessa Lachey ever sees me in person, if she spit in my face, I would just take it for the things that I have said about her on the record. And I would deserve it.
Wow.
Anyway,
And that's my
Dominic, I am
pitch.
beside myself.
Are
right
you
now.
forfeiting, Chris? Do you
No,
actually like my pitch?
I'm not, but it's an amazing pitch.
First I wanted her just eradicated from public life, and then I'm just like, just put her on the most popular show
You're
on
like,
Netflix instead.
Well, either way, you won't see her, so you're good.
That's
Right.
true.
So it works out
I
perfectly,
wouldn't-
actually.
I wasn't before. Us deciding to do her was the most I'd thought about her in quite some time. But and that's my pitch, Susie. The
floor is yours.
Balls in your court.
You
This
can
feels-
ask questions. You can do whatever you want.
This feels very hard, and I feel a bit like how Chrissy Teigen must have felt when she did that judge show where she
my
was
God.
Judge
Oh
Chrissy
my-
or whatever the hell
wait,
she
wait.
did.
Oh my God, we didn't even talk about that.
How did we not even talk about it? How
Just
did
to
we
just
not
bring
even-
that in here at the end, in the final moments.
Oh God.
So I'm gonna judge this from the perspective of someone who likes Chrissy Teigen, which I am not. But if I were,
Okay.
I don't feel very strongly about her either way. I just think she's kind of cringy, and I don't think the stuff she did to poor Courtney was okay. I think if I were on her team, I would go with Chris's advice. But if I was just a person in the world, I would go with Dominick's. So it's kind of a tie. Is that okay? Is that a cop out?
It's no. Chris and I have differing opinions on the ties. Go
Well,
ahead,
because I
Chris.
feel like it would be more seemly, it would be more classy to be a supermodel again. You know, to just like do some
Right.
covers, do a couple stunt appearances on the runway, spend more time with her children, get out of the
Totally.
way. But of course, I would prefer it if she was the host of a trashy reality show. That would
Listen,
be preferable for me.
You can have your tie because I forgot that, Chris, we've already discussed that in the event of a tie, we're turning it over to the viewers to decide. Remember?
In an unprecedented move, something we haven't said in a long time on this podcast.
Because it hasn't warranted it until this very fucking moment. This unprecedented moment.
About 3 months ago, every episode we tried to make some reason for it to be unprecedented when it was like the dumbest thing ever.
I
And
feel
then-
like I've made history. Don't take
You
this
have.
away from
No,
me.
you
now.
have.
But you have
No,
without
that-
even
no,
knowing
you
it.
have.
You have.
What we are going to do is we are going to post the popular vote on Patreon like we always do. And the patrons are going to vote on who they think wins.
I
It
can't
is going to
wait.
be up to the popular vote. We are going to take a whole week to let the votes roll in, and just the patrons this time are going to vote on who is the winner. And we'll announce it next week on the podcast.
Wow.
I feel really honored to be part of this.
You should.
You should.
I mean, oh, wow, Dominic, Love is Blind.
I know.
I'm-
I think
I'm
Chris is
re-
going
I'm
to
still
Chris is going to
I'm-
go on the Patreon and vote for my pitch, by the way, just so everyone knows.
I really feel that he chooses you. So I was really torn, but I think for her own sanity, it would be better for her to be not around very much. Like here and there.
love how seriously you and all of our judges come. You take it so much more seriously than Chris and I, and
Than we
honestly,
do.
you lend such a legitimacy to this that I feel like
It's like
we've-
embarrassing for me, is what you're saying.
No,
No.
no, it's embarrassing for us, to be
Yeah,
honest with
because
you.
we're like, oh, we don't even care as much about this as everyone else does.
That's
wow.
fantastic.
Okay, well, we're
So
gonna have
results next week, everybody.
And guys, if you feel very strongly about one of these pitches and you're not in the Patreon, the $5 tier is all you need to be a part of in order to vote in the popular vote.
I know. And we didn't know this was going to happen. This is not a money grab.
We truly did not.
This is just how we're handling it.
Wow.
I mean, I'm on pins and needles waiting to see who wins, because this is like,
I'm not, because if I don't win, I'm canceling this podcast. And it's over. No, I am on pins and needles as well.
I'm not going to lie. Using the Fixing Famous People account, I will put one vote on your thing from me. I really will. I really will.
Oh my God, I'm honored. I'm honored. I don't know how it jumped. I just don't know how it jumped in there. I just was like, fuck it.
Sometimes genius just strikes, you know?
Well, only of a show I would barely even know about if I didn't
that's
have you in
that's
my
what I said.
life.
You wouldn't even see her anyway because you wouldn't be watching.
Correct.
You're just
if she
her
does
upon
host,
me.
right? If she hosts it, I will never see it. But good luck, girl.
Susie, thank you so much for being with us. Please, where can people find you?
Thank you so much for having me. People can find me anywhere they look for podcasts. So Apple Podcasts, Spotify. You can find me on Instagram at SusieBNYC. And please listen to In Retrospect.
Thank you so much. Dominic, where can people find you?
I can be found at my website, domentary.com, and on socials at Dominick Pupa. Christopher, where can everyone find you?
You guys can find me at the Chris DeRosa. You can find the show at Fixing Famous People. You can find the Patreon at patreon.com/Fixing Famous People. You can buy the holiday candles at the link in our bio. And thank you for being here, Susie. I wish you both well. And as always, where's Shelly? Goodbye.